If you still remember the road beneath the rain, the way I held my breath when you called my name, the small light in the window, the dusk upon your sleeve, the look you tried to hide, the night you had to leave. I said nothing then, I was afraid that one more word would make you stay. If you still remember, then I am not alone. Somewhere in your silence, I still have a home. If you still remember the warmth before goodbye, then all the years between us have not passed me by. I kept the folded paper, the ribbon and the stain, a season pressed in quiet, a sky before the rain. The garden lost its color, the gate forgot your hand, but I still hear your footsteps across the sleeping land. I called your name once into the blue, the evening answered, but not with you. If you still remember, then I am not alone. Somewhere in your silence, I still have a home. If you still remember the warmth before goodbye, then all the years between us have not passed me by. I do not ask for morning, I do not ask for spring, only that in one soft corner you have not forgotten everything. If you still remember, then let the lost years rest. I lived inside that memory and loved you at my best. If you still remember, then time has not been kind, but somewhere past the sorrow, you still are mine. If you still remember the warmth before goodbye, if you still remember, have not passed me by. was pale and still. You stood beside the doorway, like time had lost its will. The dust lay soft upon the stairs, the light across your face, and all the world was holding that brief and fragile place. I should have said, don't go too far, but silence stayed where my brave words are. Before the rain came, we almost had the day, a life untouched by leaving a heart that did not break. Before the rain came, you looked at me that way, and I have lived forever inside that fading gaze. The branches moved in whispers, the curtain barely swayed. Your hand was warm a moment, then slowly slipped away. I heard the first drop falling, like something closing down, and every dream we carried went trembling to the ground. I should have run, I should have known how fast the world can take its own. Before the rain came, we almost had the day, a life untouched by leaving a heart that did not break. Before the rain came, you looked at me that way, and I have lived forever inside that fading gaze. Sometimes I think I hear you in weather at my door, as if the sky remembers what I am waiting for. Before the rain came, your shadow touched the light, and every year since then has carried that one night. Before the rain came, love had not learned to hide, and I was still the girl who thought you would arrive. Before the rain came, you looked at me that way. Before the rain came, inside that fading gaze. I wrote your name in careful lines, then watched the candle bend. The paper held what I could not, in letters never sent. The room was small, the hour late, the blue along the wall, and every word I could not say was waiting there to fall. I folded up my trembling heart and hid it where the dark would start. Letters never sent still burn inside my hands. Pages full of seasons you would understand. Letters never sent still calling out your name. Love can live for years without a place to land. I wrote about the jasmine, the quiet afternoon, the empty chair beside the gate, the early rising moon. I wrote about the promise you left in half a sigh. I wrote the life we might have had, then let the ink run dry. If words could cross what time has done, I would have filled the sky with them one by one. Letters never sent still burn inside my hands. Pages full of seasons you would understand. Letters never sent still calling out your name. Love can live for years without a place to land. Perhaps it's kinder this way to leave the ache unread, to let the heart keep speaking where no farewell was said. Letters never sent still rest beneath the years, soft as fallen petals, sharp as hidden tears. Letters never sent, but every line was true. I kept them like a second life in case they reached you. Letters never sent still calling out your name. Letters never sent without a place to land. The station wore the evening like a coat of dust and gold. The whistle in the distance sounded older than the road. You stood with one small suitcase and a silence I still hear. The last train south was waiting, and I was fixed with fear. I held my breath, I held your sleeve. I did not know how to make you leave me. The last train south took more than one goodbye. It took the light behind your eyes, it took the summer sky. The last train south still runs across my dreams, carrying all we could not keep and all we could not be. lamps were trembling, the hour had turned thin. Your shadow crossed the yellow line, then faded with the wind. I wanted one more moment, one mercy from the night, but time had closed around us and pulled away the light. I called your name, too soft, too late. The tracks replied with all of faith. The last train south took more than one goodbye. It took the light behind your eyes, it took the summer sky. Across my dreams, carrying all we could not keep and all we could not be. Some nights I hear it coming, though no one waits below. The memory of your turning face, the almost of your kiss. The last train south may fade beyond the years, but I will stand forever where it disappears. Across my dreams, the last train south, all we could not be. Beyond the river mist, the morning used to shine. You walked beside the water, and once your hand found mine. The reeds bent in the distance, the sky wore tender gray, and every little ripple carried us away. I thought the world was soft and wide, enough to keep love on our side. Beyond the river mist, I still can see your face, a light that time could not undo, a sorrow full of grace. Beyond the river mist, where all the old paths bend, I wait inside that silver hour for you to come again. Are gone from memory, the shore has changed its name, But in the hush before the dawn, I hear you just the same. The willow leaves keep falling like words I could not keep, and all the vows we never spoke are buried in the deep. I walk alone but not apart. That river keeps the map of my heart. Beyond the river mist, I still can see your face, a light that time could not undo, a sorrow full of grace. Beyond the river mist, where all the old paths bend, I wait inside that silver hour for you to come again. If there is any mercy in places left behind, let it be that water still remembers you and I. Beyond the river mist, I hear your distant tread. The life we could not gather still blooms inside my chest. Beyond the river mist, where grief and beauty blend, I live as though one quiet day you'll cross to me again. Beyond the river mist, I still can see your face. Beyond the river mist, a sorrow full of grace. When the lanterns fade and the market closes down, I still see your shadow crossing through the town. The evening gathers softly along the narrow street, and every step I take there still listens for your feet. The night grows deep, the colors thin, but loss comes back where light had been. When the lanterns fade, I hear you in the dark, a voice that time could never still, a fire without a spark. When the lanterns fade, the world forgets the day, but I become the girl again who watched you walk away. The paper doors are silent, the tea has long gone cold, the window keeps the moonlight like a story never told. I touch the worn out table, the place you used to lean, and all the years between us turned fragile as a dream. I close my eyes, the street is there, and you are still inside that air. When the lanterns fade, watched you walk away. If memory is a doorway, then evening is the key. Each time the town grows dim, you return to me. When the lanterns fade, my heart still knows the way back to the hour of your last look, back to that tender ache. When the lanterns fade, no season keeps me far. I carry you like quiet light after the lamps are dark. When the lanterns fade, I hear you in the dark. When the lanterns fade, after the lamps are dark. There is a name I still keep, folded under breath and bone, not for calling through the evening, just to know I'm not alone. It lives beneath the quiet, where no one else can see, a tender little ruin you left behind in me. I do not say it to the light, I only wear it through the night. A name I still keep, like a prayer with no reply, like the first star over twilight, like the last unfallen cry. A name I still keep, though the years have changed the air. If love has any afterlife, I know it lingers there. The mirror learned another face, the seasons crossed my door. The world kept turning like it does, but it was not the same anymore. I gave away my ribbons, I packed away the spring, but not the sound of who you were, not that one living thing. Some losses fade, some losses stay. Yours became my hidden way. A name I still keep, like a prayer with no reply, like the first star over twilight, like the last unfallen cry. A name I still keep, though the years have changed the air. If love has any afterlife, I know it lingers there. I asked for nothing from it now, no return, no second chance. soft as ash in winter rain, sharp as one remembered summer that can never come again. A name I still keep, and with it I remain the one who loved you quietly and never loved the same. A name I still keep, like a prayer with no reply. A name I still keep, never loved the same. Under the same moon, I used to close my eyes and think that silver distance could still keep us aligned. You somewhere past the darkness, me standing by the gate, both of us beneath that light, too far for touch, too late. I gave my heart to that pale sky, as if it knew where you still lie. Under the same moon, do you ever think of me when the night turns soft and wordless, when the world is hard to read? Under the same moon, I send what I can't say, a love that crossed the silence and never found its way. The garden stones remember the evening jasmine breath, the way the dark came gently down before it carried death. I learned to speak to moonlight as if it were your hand, a quiet broken language only longing understands. The stars were few, the sky was kind, and all I had was what it shined. Under the same moon, do you ever think of me when the night turns soft and wordless, when the world is hard to read? Under the same moon, I send what I can't say, a love that crossed the silence and never found its way. If I can cross the heavens and still arrive so clear, then maybe somewhere in its path you feel that I am here. Under the same moon, I place your name above, not to bring you back to me, but to keep bright what was loved. Under the same moon, I stand and let it fall, like all the tender things that time could not dissolve. Under the same moon, do you ever think of me? Under the same moon. the silence. The dress in the window has faded with the sun. Its lace no longer shining, its season long undone. I used to stop and watch it, as if one day you'd see the girl reflected in the glass and choose that life with me. A little hope in white and blue, a little dream that waited for you. The dress in the window still hangs above the street, like all the tender things we planned and never got to keep. The dress in the window still catches evening light and turns my heart into the girl who loved you every night. The tailor's door is quiet, the thread is all gone still, memory sews its own design against my will. I see you in the doorway, your smile not yet gone dim, and every year I pass that glass, the world grows soft again. I could not wear what never came, still that dress remembers your name. The dress in the window still hangs above the street, like all the tender things we planned and never got to keep. The dress in the window still catches evening light and turns my heart into the girl who loved you every night. Perhaps it's only fabric, perhaps it's only glass. Then why does all my sorrow stop there when I pass? The dress in the window may yellow with the years, but not the life I held inside it, not the hidden tears. The dress in the window still waits where I once stood, for the day the world was almost kind and almost understood. The dress in the window still hangs above the street. The dress in the window never got to keep. I walked with you until the bend where dust and evening start. The trees were bowing to the wind, like like witnesses of the heart. You kept your eyes before you, I kept my tears behind, and every stone beneath our feet was gentler than goodbye. I would have stayed until the stars, if love could mend what fate tears apart. Until the road turns quiet, I will hear you tread. Every step you took away from me still lives inside my chest. Until the road turns quiet and the last light leaves the sky, I will stand beside that parting place and love what passed me by. The tall grass kept on moving long after you were gone, as if the earth itself refused to say that you had gone. I touched the gate behind me, I touched the evening air, but nothing there could hold the shame of who was standing there. I called too low, the dust too deep, and all my sorrow had nowhere else to keep. Until the road turns quiet, I will hear you tread. Every step you took away from me still lives inside my chest. Until the road turns quiet and the last light leaves the sky, I will stand beside that parting place and love what passed me by. Some goodbyes don't finish, they go on in smaller ways. In dust, in dusk, in the narrow hush, at the end of every day. Until the road turns quiet and memory loses sound, I will be the one who listens when no one else is around. Until the road turns quiet, let this one truth remain. I loved you past the leaving, and I would do it all again. Until the road turns quiet, every step still lives in me. Until the road turns quiet, I would do it all again. The room was dim, the fan turned slow, a half-drawn curtain, a tired glow. You folded silence into your hands like something fragile you couldn't keep. Outside the evening held its breath, warm air and light along the steps. You said my name so quietly, I almost thought you didn't mean to. Nothing moved but the shadow on the wall in my heart when you looked at me like that. One more night in Saigon, one more hour before you're gone. Stay until the dark gets thin, stay until I can breathe again. One more night in Saigon, don't make goodbye so clean, so calm. If this has to slip away, let it hurt a little while. Your cup was cold beside the bed, the words between us left unsaid. I watched your fingers trace the glass like you were stalling for the dawn. The street below was washed in gold, a passing song, a voice unknown. And all at once the room felt small, for something already leaving. You were close, but already far from me, like the night knew what I refused to see. One more night in Saigon, one more hour before you're gone. Stay until the dark gets thin, stay until I can breathe again. One more night in Saigon, don't make goodbye so clean, so calm. If this has to slip away, let it hurt a little while. I won't ask you for forever, I can hear it in your voice, but the quiet feels much heavier when love still sounds like a choice. One more night in Saigon, one more hour before you're gone. Stay until the sky turns pale, stay until my hands let go. One more night in Saigon, don't leave me with the chair still warm. If this ends before the light, let me keep this shade of you. One more night before you're gone. Stay until the dark gets thin. There was a bench beside the road where all the daylight used to slow. We used to sit without a word and let the evening gather round. The trees were dark against the sky, the air was warm, the hour kind, and every silence felt complete when your shoulder leaned near mine. Now I pass, and the light is still the same, but the place doesn't know what to do with your name. Where the evening waited, I still wait sometimes. In after sunset, in the blue before the night, where the evening waited. You were once still mine. Now the shadows keep your outline, and I let them stay a while. A bicycle passed a window lit. Somebody laughed a little too far off. The world went on in smaller ways while I stood inside the past. I never knew a place could hold the shape of someone who had gone. But every time the daylight thins, I feel you there before I don't. Like a hand at the edge of memory, soft enough to undo what I had buried. Where the evening waited, I still wait sometimes. In the quiet after sunset, in the blue before the night, where the evening waited. You were once still mine. Now the shadows keep your outline, and I let them stay a while. Maybe love does not disappear. Maybe it just learns to dim, to sit beside an empty place and ache without a sound. Where the evening waited, I still wait sometimes. When the street begins to soften and the day gives up its light, where the evening waited, I still hear your voice. Not enough to call you back, just enough to miss you more. Where the evening waited, I still wait sometimes. In the blue before the night. Dusk fell gently on the street. Shop lights blinking one by one. Someone closed a wooden gate, and somewhere far a radio played. I was walking without aim, carrying the end of us. Then I heard your voice again, only in my head, but clear. Soft as smoke crossing through the evening air. There you were, in a place you couldn't be. Your voice at dusk still finds me somehow. When the light turns thin and the world gets quiet, your voice at dusk, like it never left. Like one last call I was not ready for. There are hours that do not heal, they just return in gentler clothes. And the sound of you is one of them. low and near and impossible. I don't turn around now, I already know the trick of memory, how it borrows from the dark to make old love feel close. I stand still, like the night might pass it by, but it stays long enough to break me open. Your voice at dusk still finds me somehow, when the light turns thin and the world gets quiet. Your voice at dusk, like it never left, like one last call I was not ready for. If I could lose just one thing, let it be the way you sound. Not your hands, not your face, just this ache that speaks in them. Your voice at dusk still follows me home, through the hour between almost light and almost dark. Your voice at dusk, soft and unfinished, like goodbye was never said, only carried by the wind. Your voice at dusk still finds me somehow, when the world gets quiet. The water held the last of light, broken gold in quiet lines. You stood beside the weathered rail, with both hands in your coat. I remember how the wind moved your hair across your face, and how you smiled without looking up when I came to stand with you. The whole world felt paused along the shore, like the tide knew we needed one more minute. The promise by the harbor still lives in me, in the air, in the water, in the things we didn't keep. The promise by the harbor was small but true. You said, no matter where I go, part of me will stay with you. Bell rang somewhere unseen. The evening cooled against my skin. You traced a circle on my palm, then let my hand go slowly. I have forgotten many things, the color of that passing car, the song that drifted from the pier, but not the way your voice went soft, as if love could be held inside one line, long enough to outlast what was coming. The promise by the harbor still lives in me, in the air, in the water, in the things we didn't After the monsoon light, everything looked washed and new. The street, the leaves, the open gate, even the silence changed. Water slipped from the roof in slow and careful lines, and in that softened afternoon I thought of you again. Not the leaving, not the ache I knew so well, just the way your eyes once held the rain. After the monsoon light, I miss you differently, less like a wound still breaking, more like a room gone still. After the monsoon light, your memory returns, clearer than before, and somehow harder to refuse. A child ran laughing down the lane. Someone shook a cloth out dry. A woman closed her window gently as the clouds moved east. The world resumed its smaller sounds, the kind we never used to hear, when love was loud inside us and we were all we knew. Now it's quieter, and maybe that is why I can feel what stayed after you were gone. After the monsoon light, I miss you differently, less like a wound still breaking, more like a room gone still. After the monsoon light, your memory returns, clearer than before, and somehow harder to refuse. Some loves do not burn out, they settle into everything, into walls, into weather, into the way the day recovers. After the monsoon light, I think of who we were, standing in the rinsed-off world, before it all turned quiet. After the monsoon light, I let your name remain, not as something asking back, just as something I still keep. After the monsoon light, I miss you differently, clearer than before. Far from the summer fields, where the tall grass touched our knees, the air was warm, the sky went slow, and everything felt still enough to keep. You turned and brushed my hand like it was nothing, like a thought. But even now I feel that place in the smallest hours before sleep. So much stayed in the light of that season, Even now I can't say your name without returning. Far from the summer fields, I still carry you in the smell of sun-warmed earth and the hush before the moon. Far from the summer fields, nothing feels that true. Not the roads that took me on, not the years that pulled me through. There was dust along your shoes, a quiet line of gold on your face. You said someday so softly, like someday would be kind. I did not know that tenderness could hurt much later, much more slowly. That one bright season could go dark and never really leave. Time moves on, but not in every part of me. Somewhere still the evening waits with you inside it. Far from the summer fields, I still carry you in the smell of sun-warmed earth, in the hush before the moon. Far from the summer fields, nothing feels that true. Not the roads that took me on, not the years that pulled me through. Maybe love is not the moment, maybe it is what remains after distance, after weather, after everything has changed. Far from the summer fields, you still come into view with the light behind your shoulders and the sky turning blue. Far from the summer fields, I still carry you like a season I once lived in that never fully left. Far from the summer fields, I still carry you like a season I once lived in. The road was pale beneath the dust, the afternoon already dim. I stood beneath the leaning gate and watched you walk beyond the trees. You never hurried, never looked, as if the leaving had been settled, as if the sky had told you first what I still could not believe. I held still, like that might call you back, but silence only widened between each step you took. The day you didn't turn back, the light changed in everything. Even the wind felt different, even my name felt small. The day you didn't turn back, I learned how quiet breaks. Not all at once, not loudly, but deep Your cup was on the windowsill, the mark still faint against the wood. A shirt you left behind the door moved slightly in the evening air. I wanted one last ordinary thing, a word, a pause, a softened glance, something to hold against the dark. But all I had was your absence, and the house became too large around me. Every room, a place where you had just been. The day you didn't turn back, the light changed in everything. Even the wind felt different, even my name felt small. The day you didn't turn back, I learned how quiet breaks. Not all at once, not loudly, but deep enough to stay. If I had called out, would it have changed the ending, or only made the distance sound more real than it already was? The day you didn't turn back still follows where I go, in the roads I do not choose, in the doors I close too slow. The day you didn't turn back never fully went away. It lives inside the hour when the daylight starts to fade. The day you didn't turn back, not all at once, not loudly, but deep enough to stay. In the house of blue shutters, the afternoon would lean and stay. Light fell thin across the floor in pale and trembling lines. Your mother spoke in the next room, a kettle sang, then settled down. And somewhere through the open screen, the garden moved in wind. Everything was small, everything was living, and somehow that made love feel larger than the world. In the house of blue shutters, I left part of my heart in the quiet by the window, in the dust, in the light. In the house of blue shutters, you smiled without a word, and even now I can't forget how gentle life could look. The wooden chair beside the wall, the folded cloth, the bowl of fruit, the softness of your lowered voice when evening started falling. I have seen brighter places since, and roads much wider than that lane, but nothing ever held me quite like that small and fading room. Maybe love doesn't ask for grandeur, maybe it survives in what was almost in the dust, in the light, in the house of blue shutters. You smiled without a word, and even now I can't forget how gentle life could look. There are places memory keeps, not for beauty, not for sorrow, but for how completely they once let us belong. In the house of blue shutters, you still live somewhere, in the warm and fading color, in the air before the rain. In the house of blue shutters, I still feel that day, like a hand laid on my life, too softly to remove. In the house of blue shutters, I left part of my heart in the dust, in the light. If this reaches you, let it find you somewhere kind, near an open window maybe, with the evening at your side. Let it come without a storm, without the weight of all we lost. Just a voice across the distance, saying what it never could. I have carried so much silence to this page, and every line feels smaller than your name. If this reaches you, know I thought of you with care, not to bring the sorrow back, only to say it never left. If this reaches you, read it slowly if you can. There was love in what I couldn't keep. There is love in what remains. I won't ask where life has led, what rooms you sleep in now, whose laughter fills your evenings, what weather finds your door. I only need this little truth to live somewhere outside of me, that once in all this fragile world your heart once answered mine. And though time has lowered every fire, some members stay hidden underneath the years. If this reaches you, know I thought of you with care, not to bring the sorrow back, only to say it never left. If this reaches you, read it slowly if you can. There was love in what I couldn't keep. There is love in what remains. Maybe this will never find you, maybe that is mercy too, but I needed one last place to set these words down gently. If this reaches you, let it rest inside your hands, like a small and distant memory, too tender to return. If this reaches you, that will be enough for me. Not an answer, not a sign, just the thought that it arrived. If this reaches you, read it slowly if you can. There is love in what remains. The jasmine fell, it covered up the steps in white. The night was warm, the lantern low, and everything felt near to ending. You stood beneath the garden wall, with moonlight caught along your sleeve. I knew from how you held your breath that something quiet had already changed. Even then, the air was full of leaving. Even then, love was trying not to speak. When the jasmine fell, I should have known. Some goodbyes arrived softly before they're ever said. When the jasmine fell, you looked at me like someone trying to memorize what they could not keep. The fragrance lingered in the dark long after all the lights were gone. And years from now, I know that scent will still undo me gently. There are nights that do not end, they only fade into the bones. And yours is one I carry still, in silence and in bloom. I have lived through seasons after that, but none of them could make that evening small. When the jasmine fell, I should have known. Some goodbyes arrived softly before they're ever said. When the jasmine fell, you looked at me like someone trying to memorize what they could not keep. If love had one last form, it was that white against the ground, beautiful for just a moment, then impossible to gather back. When the jasmine fell, the whole night changed, and I have never walked through spring without feeling your absence. When the jasmine fell, When the jasmine fell, some goodbyes arrived softly. Part of me stayed there.